I think from yesterday. Yeah, for the frontline workers and stuff.
I
Uh,
see.
I think
I heard
it's
a
going on
US
pretty well.
nurse was the first one to get the vaccine, but it's
Correct.
pretty cool to see how the vaccine was developed and now it's being, moved out to all the people in the US. And I heard that even India is going
Yeah,
to get the vaccine pretty soon. So
yeah.
that's a great accomplishment by itself, isn't it?
I think we should be happy about two things. I mean, and definitely also sad. We have been sad for so much time in 2020, but the one thing that we have to be happy about is the reinvention of the entire FDA approval process or the medical approval process. So I think pandemic has forced everyone, especially the medical organizations, uh, to reinvent the entire process of uh, pushing out a legitimate vaccine. So previously it used to take 9 years. From 9 years to 9 months, 9 years. From 9 years to 9 months, that is like, like, like fundamentally reinvention of a process, which is so good to look at. I think we'll be more prepared to counter and protect ourselves from the future pandemics. But yeah, that is the way it has been. There is one good news, but definitely a lot of sad news also.
I see. And I'm really curious to see how the COVID kind of impacted a lot of business models. I'm not sure if this is going to be a temporary shift in how businesses are earning, or it's just going to be, one of those long-term things that are going to be incorporated within each mechanic of a business. And that kind of leads off to the first question of the podcast. Are you ready to dive right in? But before that, why don't we kind of give a quick introduction about ourselves to the listeners so they can get a rough idea about where you're from, what you do, as well as how you kind of dive into product. What about that?
Yeah, sure. I'm Varun Perla. I'm a graduate student at the University of Pennsylvania. I'm majoring in electrical and systems engineering. I did my undergrad in mechanical engineering from BITS-Pilani back in India. So it's kind of been a crazy ride for me because I started off my product management role right after my college, fortunately. So I worked at Swiggy. Had a 6 month internship at Swiggy, and then joined IMI Mobile as an associate product manager. So IMI Mobile creates all these wonderful enterprise grade products for facilitating communication with their customers. Clients can communicate with their customers using every social channel out there, like Messenger, WhatsApp, the normal messages, and you can create automated journeys. Recently, IIM Mobile was acquired by Cisco Systems. I think the deal was valued at like 750 million or something, but it was pretty exciting to work there because that was that is where I have actually enjoyed the true product management. So and then I worked as an applied AI researcher at India's top machine learning lab at IIIT Hyderabad under the guidance of Amazon chair Professor C.V. Jawahar. That was so completely turning into from product to completely diving into engineering, and not just engineering but the future engineering, like completely on AI and stuff. I worked in building a data set and CV algorithms, and did some part-time teaching also, teaching senior executives on the same ML concepts. And then I've come here to Penn, which is one of the beautiful universities I think out there in the world, and it's been a wonderful ride since then. Yeah, that is pretty much about me. And I've got some offers, but I'll be joining the product role soon. I'll keep you guys posted.
Awesome. Thank you for that great introduction, by the way. And it seems like you're a really well accomplished man. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to connect with you one on one. You're from BITS-Pilani. I have a few friends there. They tell me how great the campus is and how the great the academics is, even though it's quite cutthroat. And then
Yeah,
now you moved on eventually directly into a product role, which is really difficult in India. I find
yeah,
that in India, when compared to the United States, breaking into product is about 10 times harder given the competition there, as well as the limited PM roles actually available. So quite
yeah.
a feat by itself. Congratulations on that. And then you even moved into not just product, but you dive into research and high tech engineering with focus on machine learning, and you collaborate with the top leading institute. and now you're at one of the Ivy League universities in the United States. So quite a accomplishment by itself there. So congratulations once again, and would love to kind of hear how you're thinking about product in the future, and how you're thinking about the business models that were kind of affected by COVID, and how do you think, in the long run at least, they're going to be affected once the COVID vaccine hits and people start to get back to their old routines? Do you think they'll change? Do you think they're going to be the same? Or if you want, you can talk about trends or anything you like. Feel free to kind of be creative as possible.
Yeah, sure. Thanks so much. Rakesh, before we dive in, can you introduce yourself? Or just want to know, because I think you are like pretty accomplished also, and would love to know more about you. I've read about you before joining the call, but just want to hear about you in a sentences or two.
Yeah, definitely. So, to everyone who's listening and to you, Varun, so I'm Rakesh. I'm a new grad from the University of Michigan. I studied computer science with a focus on data science and business there. And for the past 2 to 3 years, I've been working with a few companies and a mix of corporate roles, mostly in product management and software engineering. Some of these companies do include Uber, Google, and also I've been working with a few Y Combinator startups like Pathrise in product management roles. And I've also was really humbled to receive a lot of offers from companies like Tesla, SpaceX, mostly in intern roles where I got to kind of work with the teams there, also collaborate with them on some really interesting projects. But right now, I recently accepted a full-time offer from Microsoft, where I'm going to be starting around for some contracting positions before I head there. But overall, I do come from a mix of this um, really rigorous academic background with a really high focus on product and entrepreneurship. Most recently, I've also created a company with a co-founder of mine called Teja. We call it NAG and Tej. We do product and strategy consulting for companies, both startups and large corporate alike. Overall, that's a quick summary about me. Um,
Wow, that's yeah. Please go ahead.
Nope, go ahead. I was just about to say I'm done.
Yeah, that's just wonderful. You're so good. So you've already accomplished so much, I guess, for for a person of your age. It's really, and it's also really great that you're helping new students and who want to break into product management. And that is one of the premise of our part here. So wonderful, and hearty congratulations on all your achievements till date, and looking forward to seeing more from you in the future. So yeah, let's dive in. Let's dive in right now to the business model. So I think one of the so I've been observing a lot about. No, we both are in tech, so but I will try to keep the conversation not just in tech but everything else, because it's good to have products and across the markets instead of just focusing just on the tech market. So one thing that I've observed in the recent pandemic times is the new perception of the brands. Like people are extremely sensitive and have started closely evaluating the brands. How are they operating? How they have been doing? For example, uh, if you're sensitive and have started closely evaluating the brands, how are they operating? How they have been doing? For example, if you look at traditional companies like Procter and Gamble or the FMCG products, so they have completely pivoted the business model from the traditional 100 plus products focusing on beauty, cosmetics, soap, and everything, to hygiene products. So you see a lot of advertisements on hygiene products like the what do you say, the cleaners. So there's been a brand shift. So this kind of positions the company to perceive it as a perceive it as a very adaptive company at a very large scale, which creates a kind of trust to the customer. So this kind of Spotify, 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 unlike Apple Music, it's not only paid. So you can access Spotify for free also. So whenever you're a free subscriber, you get to listen to a lot of advertisements and also I mean, listen to music um, on demand. So what Spotify actually thought was, I mean, I used to read a lot about Spotify because it's one of my favorite companies to look out for. Uh, the revenue generation from these advertised free tier based users was also pretty high, and they really thought that by 2022 a significant chunk of their business would come from the free tier users instead of just burning the pocket from the paid users. So but once pandemic has hit, people are pretty bored and have started using different kind of streaming services. Video streaming will get there, but music is something that always runs in the background for majority of the players out there, or employers out there. So that was good, but what exactly happened was this advertisement based business was hit because most of the companies have cut down their advertising budgets. So the free users have drastically increased, and on the one side, and the other side, the advertisers have started paying less money. Now the Spotify has to just has to gear up for facing this massive demand and also creating original content in the times of pandemic, and also balance its brand and maintain its brand. So they've released one beautiful thing they've done is they've released podcasts, and they've connect, and there are, I think it was launched in the month of August, and just in 1 month there were about 150,000 podcast channels out there. That is something so wonderful. I think Rakesh, I want you to release this one. I mean, someday, whenever you're ready to release it on Spotify, you will have a very nice audience there. I believe so. And so that is from the tech. And second thing is, can this be applied to traditional markets? This pivoting, is it possible for restaurants, like traditional business like restaurants? So one beautiful thing that I've observed there is restaurants. If you go to a restaurant, there are about like 100 plus dishes in the menu, and if you order, everything is made in like 10-15 minutes and served as fresh. But in the times of pandemic, you see most of the restaurants around Philly, at least what I've observed is they have cut down their menu to 20 options, and they have partnered with not just Uber Eats or Grab or other online ordering services. They have created a website on the fly, and you can just go hop onto their website and select from one of these 20 options, and then you can just go there and grab the food. So that was so innovative for a small business to do. I was pretty impressed. And to now let's extrapolate that to a very big level, operating at a country level. So when I joined Penn, I always used to get these targeted ads on Instagram of Freshly, which offered tailor made meals. So that recently got acquired for 1.5 billion by Nestle. So as you can see, the same model where you get offered, like, instead of 100 plus dishes, they Freshly offers only like 20 or 25 plus kinds of meals, pre-prepared meals. You just have to order them and refrigerate them and just microwave and eat. That's it. And now refrigerate them and just microwave and eat. That's it. And now the Nestle just bought it for 1.5 billion. So you can, if you closely observe the market, you can see tremendous change, but they're so subtle, but they're very, very impactful as well. Yeah.
Got it. Thank you so much for sharing all that information. It sounds like you really know what you're talking about, especially when you touch both on tech as well as non-tech. I just want to make a few comments on those. When you mentioned Spotify, you can actually find the NAG Show on Spotify, and you're actually the second person I'm interviewing. I previously interviewed Srini Sekran, who is a senior PM at Amazon. I'm actually on Spotify. I'll send over the link once we're done with the call. But just going back to the segment of free tier users, One of the things which I observed during this pandemic is that Spotify was not a big thing in India. In the United
Yeah.
States, a lot of the people who use Spotify definitely watch ads and just listen to music instead of have something like Spotify. What I observed during this pandemic is that people are now willing to pay money for services like Spotify because it's no longer a luxury, it's a need. It's a
Yeah.
need for at least a peace of mind and relaxation during this hectic time. And when you mention podcasts, one interesting thing with the new deals on Spotify, like Joe Rogan being exclusive for Spotify and even other publishers coming in, the market for podcasts are tremendous. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to kind of introduce the concept of product management and kind of incorporate them into a podcast because I believe there's a huge audience for it. And there are many learners who want to learn a lot of things about product management, but don't have that right channel or I would say platform where they can kind of dive in and learn about it in one single go. At the same
100%.
time, yep,
Yeah.
and
No, no,
go ahead.
no, thanks for saying that. I would definitely tune in. Yeah. Uh, on Spotify. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yes, no, I was just about to say, comment a little bit on the business side as well. When you mentioned restaurants, one tremendous change, which I completely agree with you on the innovation side, is that these businesses, which are really not tech savvy, have simply created a service like being able to come on to the internet and kind of make their own ordering system. I think that's a great innovation by itself. And the comment on Freshly, it's really surprising to see a really simple idea like delivering food, which is pre-cooked and ready to eat, being sold for $1.5 billion. It's crazy to
Yeah.
think
Correct.
how people are evaluating these companies and how high the
Yeah.
evaluations are. It goes to think, are VCs crazy or is the market crazy?
No.
Yeah, I know it sounds really, I would say, off the map,
Yeah.
but it just go to show you don't need super high machine learning innovation just to sell a startup for a billion plus. You can just have a simple restaurant idea with some food in it and just organize it really well and set it off. But yeah, that's what I thought. But thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, I would like to elaborate on that because I've actually thought a lot about this. And you actually look at it why Nestle has bought Freshly. So it's a beautiful opportunity for Nestle because Nestle has always been this this packaged goods products where they sell, in India we have Maggie, which is like every Indian knows it almost like 2 minute Maggie. But in Europe it's known for its chocolate products, and in America it's known differently for different products. So they have a very diversified set of portfolio. But as you can see, it's in Europe it's known for its chocolate products, and in America it's known differently for different products. So they have a very diversified set of portfolio. But as you can see, it's mostly packaged goods, and people love it. But in this, you know, to actually make a successful paper, one thing is you just you should not be pivoting just for the sake of pivoting. You cannot try something entirely new, going out of your way. And you can try, but it is really difficult because somewhere down the lane pandemic is going to be over, and then you will have a question in your mind, should you quit that business or be in that business? And that's a very tough question to answer when you look at your balance sheet or your financial statements, because once you commit, then you have to keep delivering for the next decade or at least next 5 years, and you have to have the money and full of coffins to raise around 110 million. Freshly has raised around 110 million and got sold for 1.5 billion. That is like 15x valuation, which is reasonably, not just reasonably good, which is very good. But like, just try looking at it from the perspective of Nestle. So Nestle has been a packaged goods company, I mean, for a very long time. And the pandemic has changed the mindsets of people, of buying new set of these products, these recurring subscription based food prepaid meals. uh, and Nestle is a very big brand, a very established brand. Now if they have to build a Freshly kind of a product from scratch, and even if they hit the you know when their profit and when their investments, when they break even, by then the pandemic would be over. So all this subscription based food business that have erupted, that have been famous during the times of pandemic and has got its own loyal user base, that's a beautiful opportunity. That's a beautiful opportunity for Nestle to transition and add that brand of delivering this kind of goods also into its portfolio. It's a marvelous deal. I feel so, because as I've started my argument saying that most of the people are today very sensitive for the brand perception, and it's not no longer it's you cannot take the brand loyalty for granted. So people have been like, what is Uber doing? What is Lyft doing? What is this company doing? What is Apple doing? So what is Apple? Every company is being seen as some kind of a purpose driven company instead of just profit making company. So now this transitions and puts the entire market so beautifully structured. The entire reorganization of these small acquisitions is changing the different brands around us. And one of these is the freshly acquisition by Nestle. Yeah, that is one thing I would like to elaborate. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. And you kind of cleared up my question about the super high evaluation. At the end of the day, like you said, it's difficult for companies like Nestle to create their own version of Freshly. And it's really important to pivot just to be on the safe side in case the pandemic, even not the pandemic, in case the mindset post pandemic remains the same. So it's pretty important to do that. And I think Nestle, like you said in your argument, did exactly what they planned for. But I want to move on to the next question. The second thing I want to really dive
Yeah.
into is the main core chunk of this episode, and that is what as what advice would you give aspiring students or people in their early career to break into product? You did it in such a young age, right, from India. So your advice on this is going to be really particularly valuable. Love to get your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I know it's a very important question. So now I would not say there is a lot of luck factor involved in it, but I would um, I would like to start off by saying this. See, to start off as a product manager, getting the title is everything. You need not aim for being a product manager at Google on day one. That should not be your way of. If you can be a product manager about at a startup which has more than 50 employees, just target for startups which have more than 50 employees and have raised Series A, Series B, and in that range, if it's very hard for you to get into the product role at very big company, if that's your aim. So even if you make it, congratulations, you are in the cream of the crop. Very few product roles, like Rakesh has said, at the very just right out of your college. So if you don't make it there, don't be disheartened, because that's not the end. You can need is the productions, the structured thinking, creative thinking, and critical thinking. So I see it this way. Product management, many people say that a lot of literature is there and people perceive it differently, and it's in Microsoft it's called program manager, in Apple it's called different, in Google it's obviously the product manager. There are multiple names for the same role. So don't be confused by that. Just try to get the train, try to catch the bus, like be in a product role, start in a product role, irrespective of the company you're working for. And when I say that, you cannot be a product manager in a 10-member company. Don't be a product manager in a 10-member company. The company has to be at least 50 people and have raised Series A. Because if you are joining a company which is like less than 10 people, the entire process is so not structured. And yeah, of course, you'll be jack of all trades, but it's actually good to be a product manager at a 50 plus employee company rather than like 10 plus employee company. Yeah, that is point number one. So point number two that I want to say is product management is is very communication and leadership oriented. So the employers or the founders who are recruiting you wants to see the area paths back in your college or in your recent positions. So by when I see communication is not just about how you speak or how you structure your thoughts or how creative you are, how energetic you are, what is the tempo in your what is the tempo of your argument. It is communication is not just that. Communication is also about writing. Most of the product managers communicate to their teams by writing beautiful emails. Not by beautiful, it's not fancy vocabulary and using fancy vocabulary or using very fancy jargon which only you can understand, and it's not like so that is not beautiful. Beautiful is to be very succinct, very clear, and very empathetic. If that's what I can say. So you if you are suppose let's say if you're a product manager, you will be collaborating with QA department, you will be collaborating with software engineers, you'll be collaborating architects. So you have to be a great communicator, and every time you cannot request an in-person meeting, and every time you cannot just talk to people and expect them to do. You have to be good at writing. So I like this favorite quote by George Orwell. So if people cannot write well, they cannot think well, and if they cannot think well, others will do their thinking for them. I really love this quote. So to be a great product manager, not great product manager, to start off into that area, you got to write. You got to communicate, and communication is not just about talking. You got to write and also speak very in a structured manner. And as I said, it's product management is also very leadership or very in a structured manner. And as I said, it's product management is also very leadership oriented. So there are a lot of positions out there, a lot of founders who are looking for product managers who are engineers or from computer science backgrounds to break into product management and create clarity. So once you wear that hat, two important jobs you have to do is you have to bring clarity to the teams and you have to bring energy to the teams. You should be the person where all stuff will be thrown at you, and you should be able to structure them and break a large problem into very small chunks. And also those small chunks have to be prioritized properly. So prioritization is the key for a product manager. So how do you incorporate prioritization in your entire thinking? So the best way I recommend is creates a framework for yourself, and also it also opens new horizons of how your mind works, and also it creates an opportunity to introspect, and you keep getting better at the job. And and people have got different apps, Todoist or blah blah blah, but I recommend I use a simple text note. I just before going to sleep, before in the previous night, I just before just falling into sleep, I just write all the list of tasks that I have to accomplish today, the next day. And then more importantly, I just don't write them on a paper. The second thing is I integrate them with a calendar. So let's say today I have a podcast interview with Rakesh from 12 to 1 p.m. EST. So I mark it on my calendar. I'm just not marking it that particular event, but also to structure my thoughts. What are the important things I have to speak with Rakesh? What are the important concerns that future the new grads will have that I have to clear? These are all the talking points that I have to structure and put in our notes, or to structure my thoughts and be ready. So I block 1 or 2 hours before the meeting just to prepare myself for the podcast. So two things to become a great prioritizer. start prioritizing your day as a product manager. You will be a product manager someday for sure if you want to get into that. But to understand how you prioritize and how you accomplish and how you push things, start planning your day. To do that, just before going to sleep, just write all the things that you want to accomplish next day. And that is not enough, because most of the people do this and next day they wake up, and by the next end of the next day they realize that they did not accomplish so much of it. They accomplished only 20 or 30% of it. but to but to do it, if you actually block the, your calendar for that particular task, not just blocking it for that particular task, even the buffer time, what you have to do to prepare for the task. So when you do this every day for 365 days, and then or for like 300 working days, whatever it is, you kind of know how your life is structured, and you can also be very empathetic with your teamwork. So most of the work as a product manager is, it's you're not, I've seen many people write this, uh, product product manager is the CEO of the product, and the CEO of the small team that they're working for. I don't see it that way. It's kind of a very beautiful role where you are more of a shepherd rather than the boss. So the people working under you are not reporting to you directly. They report to their own managers. Suppose engineers report to software engineers manager. So, but you are responsible for the product. That is 100% true. But and if anything wrong goes about the product, then you'll be responsible. That is also true. But you are not the boss of the team you're working with. And you but you are also responsible for prioritizing all their tasks. So it's kind of a very complex role and also an interesting role, and the prioritization is the key. So you to in order to prioritize, you have to have two things in your mind. One is the company's perspective, that is the your boss or the entire product team version. And also you should, at the same time, you should also be empathetic about the team you're working on. So doing this in your daily life will also be, it's a revolutionary change that you'll see. I can definitely promise you that. So these are the three things. So develop your writing skills, develop your develop your writing skills, develop yourself as a great speaker, a structured speaker. And third more thing, which is most important, that is your leadership qualities. The employer should see some sort of evidence that you have held a leadership position before in your career, in whatever way it can be. It can be some by your clubs at your school or whatever it is. These three things are fundamental. Yeah.
That is such a in-depth answer. Thank you so much, Varun. I think the listeners are going to have so many things to take away from this conversation. I just want to kind of revise what I think about them as well. I completely agree that communication, whether verbal or nonverbal or even just in writing, is essential to become a great product manager. Because at the end of the day, like you said, providing a structure, providing a plan of action, organizing things from random areas of focus, from design to engineering to business to finance, and putting it all together into a straight roadmap which the team can execute on, is the key role of the product manager. And you just explained it beautifully in your conversation right here. And I just wanted to touch on one more thing which I found really useful in what you explained. I completely agree with you that joining in a 10-person company and working as a product manager or a jack of all trades won't really teach you many things. You will just be kind of like a generalist instead of a product manager. I really guess you'll be doing any product work at all. But if you join in a 50-person company like you suggested, I completely agree that you will be kind of be focused on your segment of the product which you're developing, and that you're going to be responsible for that. And especially one thing which I do suggest for students or people who are entering the product is always have a senior product person or manager or someone to guide you along the process. If you're the only product person in a company, you should leave that company unless you are really experienced, because you won't be learning much. You need someone to guide you, especially at the beginning of your career, whether it's the CEO, whether it's someone just to kind of push you along that path. And you just explained it really well. Thank you for sharing all that.
Yeah.
Any other? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
You're about to say
I
something.
think I just would like to end with this one. So this is overall general career advice instead of just rise a shop for product management. So many people say this, and I want to repeat this. You gotta fight something. You gotta find something that you love for sure, and you will only find something that by exploring, like whatever it is. Just it can be in the remotest of the remotest places in this world. Just go and explore it. That should not stop you from exploring it. Just go and don't go exploring things. One thing that you will know is it's a great introspection journey. You will know more about yourself. Most of us think that we know what we are, what our tastes are, what we are good at, what our strengths are, what our weaknesses are, or what are the areas that I can improve. But you will not know them unless and until you try them. I definitely feel that even if I'm like 70-year-old, I'll definitely explore something new, explore a new area that I have to really work on. So the first thing is find something you love, and also more importantly, like Rakesh is just double down. Working in a 10-member startup, it's you really will not have a great manager working for you, because the founders will be very very busy in keeping the company afloat and acquiring users. So it's very hard to get that structured thinking that a product manager needs. But very busy in keeping the company afloat and acquiring users. So it's very hard to get that structured thinking that a product manager needs. But on the other hand, you should not be confused joining a 10% company as a product manager than being a founder itself. So you can start a company of your own and get some 100,000 users, and then sell it to a company for some millions, and then be a product manager. Or recently there was a startup at Penn. They what they've done is, so on these all Uber taxis and Lyft taxis, they put up a small e-board which shows advertisements. And this Penn undergrad has advertised and sold the solution for about like 2,000 taxis in New York City, and he has scaled it to 10,000 taxis in New York City. And recently Lyft bought this startup, and now he's a product manager at founder itself. So you can definitely be a founder and then transition into the product manager. That is one of the craziest ways to go. If you have a great idea, and if you've already found a problem which or a new solution to offer the existing market, then go for it. Just go for it. And second most important thing is just look for an opportunity to where you can learn and grow. So especially in the beginning of your careers, don't join a company where you can clearly see a path, and you can clearly see where the learning becomes saturated after maybe 6 months or a year, or your work becomes monotonous. The first 5 years of your life once you graduate of your college is pretty important, because that is the time when you know about yourself. It is a great time to introspect what your choices are, what your vision for your life is, and what your long-term goals. So it is these 5 years will set the path for for at least next decade or something. So once you have that long-term plan, all you have to do is, like, just like a product manager, you have to break that large problem into small chunks and prioritize it. And once you have this long-term plan, you have to break that long-term plan into small short-term achievable plans, and keep them diversified in such a way that once that short-term plan is gone, you have another short-term plan. But eventually, once you start executing and achieving these short-term plans, you will achieve your long-term vision. That is the second thing. And the third important thing is, uh, just try selling something and try to launch a product. When you're in college, you have these multiple avenues where you can associate yourself with. Either it can be an app which you are creating for courses, or you can a campus ambassador programs for big companies, like what Rakesh has done, like partnering with big companies, helping them do some projects. So just associate yourself with as many as you can, definitely not compromising on, not at the cost of your academics. And to, if you are a very product focused and a product guy, you definitely have, as I've said, you have to be in a shepherd position. So directly or indirectly manage a dozen or more students, or create more clarity for the team that you're working on. So you should always be the guy or the girl who will be approached if they have a question, or want, or the best person or the favorite person to brainstorm the solution with. You should be that guy or that girl. So, and let me be very honest, so it's always not fun in the beginning, but once you it really depends on the team. But currently the world has painted product manager in such a rosy manner that whatever happens there is like the best in the world. It's not like that, but you just have to bear it and keep improving every day, bit by bit, to become a formidable force in the entire industry. So that I want to end by that. Yeah.
Thanks, Varun. I think you really gave some honest yet hard advice, meaning that you didn't kind of include any fluff, but you went straight to the point and you just told the straight truth for the students to hear. I think not just talking about the good things in product management, but also the difficult things, the risks you need to take, as well as kind of the daily expectations. That's something which a lot of product managers don't talk about. And thank you for sharing all that. And you did mention one thing which I wanted to kind of follow up on. Um, when you mention the startup with about the taxis, are you talking about Halo, the one which places ads on top of
Correct.
taxis from
Correct.
YouTube?
100%. 100%.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. I actually know that startup. That's a really cool idea. Really
Yeah.
simple, really not tech focused, but well executed and well placed. I think that's a great acquisition by Lyft and a great execution by the whole student team at UPenn. Amazing idea.
Amazing idea. And so most of the ideas are, you have a lot of these ideas. Like once you start exploring, you can see ton of ideas, but you got to remember that in the initial days, it's about the people that you have on your team, and it's all about your execution and the market you are going after. So remember that, and start executing, and hire the best friends you have, partner with the best friends you have.
Got it. Thank you. I think all this advice would be invaluable for all these students who are going to be listening to this podcast. And I just want to end off, want me to share your LinkedIn as the chief point of contact if in case any listeners want to reach out to you, in case they have any questions, would that be the best way to reach out to you?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Please share my LinkedIn profile, and also my website. It's www, just my first name, last name, varunperla.com. That's my website. That gives you a good glimpse about me, and also my LinkedIn. All my links and everything is there. And yeah, LinkedIn would be the great point of contact for me. And don't hesitate to reach out to me for anything. And not anything in the sense, like if you want a partner for building some stuff, brainstorming some stuff, want to bring clarity to your thoughts, or want for interview preparation, or good resources to look at, or good writing tips. So I'm all in. I'm ready to help, and it was great talking to you, Rakesh. I think this is a great help for new grads and also existing people who want to jump into product management. But yeah, it's been a fascinating talk with you.
No, it's been a fascinating talk with you as well. Thank you for taking the time. We had a great conversation. It was really productive, yet really creative at the same time. And I look forward to staying connected and hearing about wherever your next journey takes you. Hope to reconnect with you soon.
Sure. I hope we'll meet someday in person soon.
Definitely, we should definitely take a startup forward, but
Definitely. Yeah, 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 yeah. Cool.
sounds good, Varun.
Let me know if you're in Philly, man. Let's grab some lunch. Or
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely. When I come
yeah.
over to the United States, whenever I visit UPenn or nearby, I'll shoot you an email or give you a quick text on LinkedIn, and maybe we can plan something out.
Definitely, 100%. It was, and have a beautiful rest of the day. And whoever is listening to this podcast, keep listening to Rakesh. So he's very outgoing, and you can actually look at his path. Or he is one of the embodiments of future product managers, is what I can say. And keep looking for his videos, and wishing you all the very best on your next podcast episode, Rakesh. All the
Thank
very
you so
best.
much, Vern. That's really humbling. I'm just too humbled with what you just said. But anyhow, I'm gonna have a great day, like you suggested, and wishing you the